The Kessler Second Shooter is one of the best pieces of gear that we have in-house. It really is like having an additional shooter on set. It's great for programming moves. You can customize both the position and the duration of the movement. You can get a really nice dolly track look without having to set up an entire Dana dolly. The functions of this thing are countless. I use it all of the time on my shoots, but it can be intimidating to set up if you don't know what you're doing. So in this video, we're gonna go through step by step how to set it up and how to tear it down. Quick disclaimer, everything that we're setting up with this tutorial are things that come with the kit itself. If you need a different setup, give us a call or reach out and let us know. We'll be happy to help you out. Let's dive in. So we're gonna start by setting up the track. Move this out of the way. So when you open up the case for the track, you'll see it laid out like so. The track itself lives here in this cutout component, and then both feet / legs will live in this top compartment. You can just unzip that and you'll find everything you need. We're gonna start by putting the feet on, and to do that, I'm actually gonna turn this guy over so that I have easy access to the threads. There's 1/4 20 and 3/8 threads, depending on what kind of stands that you wanna be using. These particular ones are 1/4 20 threads. So I'm gonna loosen the feet here and then retighten them. Take the leg, you're going to line up the 1/4 20 screw with the 1/4 20 thread on the back and tighten that in there. You want to kind of make sure that the legs are positioned as perpendicular as possible to the track. And then you just do the same thing on this side. And now we're going to thread that 1/4 20 screw into the 1/4 20 thread on the back. And now we have a fully finished. If you need to do a lower or higher setup, you can adjust the legs to either raise or lower it however you want. So we got the track set up. Now let's dive into how to set up the brains of the operation. I'm gonna open this up just to kind of show you what to keep track of and kind of how everything's configured. It is a tight fit, admittedly, so pay attention to the details. We actually have a diagram of all of the pieces as well as a backside that shows you how they're gonna fit into the case. So don't lose this, it's a $5 replacement. So this is what comes in the kit with all of the modules and controllers. Just going down the row, we have some Allen wrenches along with some different options for mounting to the camera mount module. We got our Ethernet cables here for connecting the control module to the camera mount module. We have our motor plate, which will live in the side of the case. We have the main gear that connects basically the motor to the track. This is a shutter cable. We're not really going into how you use that with this tutorial, but if you wanted to connect a shutter release cable or fire off photos while you were doing a shot, you could use that to do it. We got a couple of different power cables here to connect the batteries, to just connect the batteries into the control module. And then we have our 3 power cords here. This one is for the battery only. We got them labeled to make sure that you're not using the wrong power cord for the wrong function. So we're not doing this specific setup today, but hypothetically, if you rented this and you need to run it for hours and hours or all day for some reason, what you would want to do is not use either of the batteries. You would want to use the AC power adapter, plug this into a wall or into whatever stinger you have, and then you're actually just gonna, just like you would with the battery power cable, you'll just plug it in to the power module here. You just take it, plug it in like so. Then if you plug this side into the wall or wherever you have power, you'll be set to run this forever. Just something to be aware of. Again, we're not doing it in this video, but if you are in that situation, that's what you would do. And then finally, we have our 2 battery packs. This is the one that comes with the kit from Kessler. We got a second one. You never know. We want to be prepared for every scenario. So let's build this thing. We're going to take our track, put it right about here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to mount the camera mount module to the track head here. There's a 3/8 thread here that'll fit under the 3/8 here. We're just going to line that up nice and easy and thread that on just ever so gently. Don't force it too much. Just a nice little turn. And now that is going to just, we just nailed that. That's perfectly flush. we're happy with that. Now we're going to mount the motor module. So to do that, I'm going to loosen this. I'm going to slide the head. While I'm doing that, I'm just making sure that the track feels nice and smooth, because that'll be important later. Feels pretty good to me, so I'm just going to leave that there. And then grab this guy. So to mount the motor, first you're going to take this doodad off all the way. Gently take this cover off. Please take note that wrapped around the bolt is this spring. The spring can bounce everywhere, and so when you're putting the motor on and taking it off, please just make sure that this is in its proper place. We're going to put this back on the bolt, and we're going to mount the motor plate. So to do that, I'm going to mount it in such a way where you'll see these little there's like a lip around the edge here. You want that lip to be flush with the top. So hopefully that's helpful to you. But see how that's nice and flush right there? And with that, we're going to tighten it. If you're having a hard time actually tightening it, just pull this out, and then you can readjust it to make sure that you're able to screw it on. So the next little piece of gear that we have is this, well, literal gear that we're going to thread the belt onto after we mount it to the bolt. So you're going to take this, and you'll see it says this side up. That means that this side is up. You're going to take it, thread it onto the bolt. You'll kind of feel it lock into place, and then when you do, you just press it down, and you'll feel the spring press down with it. Then you're going to take this cover and just screw that onto the top, like so. Now, to mount the motor, this is a tricky part. Something to know about the motor module is that in order to pack it, you actually have to pull the belt through so that it can live upwards in the case. But to build it into the setup, you actually need to push the belt back through, like so. Just really gently. You don't have to force it. It'll move with great ease, but this needs to be facing backwards from this front place, if that makes sense. So just make sure that the belt is pointing out of the back before you mount it. Then to mount it, we are going to place the belt around that gear, just trying to fit the cogs in, and I'm going to wiggle it and finagle it, and I feel pretty good about that. To apply, you want a good amount of pressure, so with the motor, I'm actually pushing / I guess pulling the motor on the plate just to give it a little bit of tension, just to make sure that the gears are in there nice and snug. And then to actually lock and secure the motor into place, that's going to be these two screws here. They literally live on top of the camera mount module. So they can take a while to unthread, but when they do, it is glorious. So once I have that, I'm gonna kind of place it along this opening here on the plate until I find my first groove. There it is. I can feel the threads there. I'm gonna just gently screw that in, just kind of securing the motor onto the plate, and then I'm gonna do it again. Now we're gonna take the second screw and do the exact same thing. I'm gonna find the little sliver on the plate. All right, so the motor's set up. And so to mount the actual control module for the second shooter, it's literally just magnetized to the side of the motor. So watch this, right? Ready? Oh, awesome. We are basically ready to start plugging in the cables and starting the movement. So we have 3 Ethernet cables. We have 2 long ones and 1 short one. The 3 ports that you'll plug the Ethernet cables into live on top of the control module. We have the slider zoom, the pan focus, and the tilt iris. Basically, these will serve multiple purposes depending on what you're trying to do. For our purposes today, we're going to stick to just programming this to move the slider. So we'll start simple. We got our small Ethernet cable, and as you can probably deduce, that is going to plug into the slider port here, and then because it's the shortest, it's going to plug into this port here. This is what's going to physically move the second shooter up and down the track. The next one we're going to do is the pan. We actually have the ports labeled appropriately, so it says pan and focus up here, and we have the port for the pan labeled right there for you. So just match them up. Just match up the voids. All right, and now we're gonna set up the pan. Boom. And then finally, we have the tilt port. Plug it into the tilt, and then plug it into the tilt port here. Boom. So now we're ready to power this sucker on, and to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this off, and this also magnetizes, so you'll see it kind of click there, and then it's going to magnetize again. Then to connect it, I'm going to take this angled power cord, plug it into the top, and then wrap that around on the bottom. And now we can fire this guy on. So to program a move, I actually pulled out this Canon C70 here, and we're going to go ahead and mount this camera to the head, and now we're going to program a move. To do so, I'm going to hit Enter on the Program Move menu. For this demonstration, I'll just go ahead and select 3 keyframes, and it's going to say select first or set first keyframe. So don't press anything. When the menu pops up with set first keyframe, that is your cue to move the camera to the first position that you want it to be in. Don't press enter yet, because whatever position it's in, when you hit enter, that is now your first keyframe. So something to keep in mind. I want the camera to move down just a little bit, going the other way. And I'm going to pan it this way just a little bit. And I'm going to tilt down. I'm going to look at my frame, and I'm going to set that as my first keyframe. Then I'm going to go to my second keyframe. So I'm going to move the slider down this way. And I'm going to tilt up just a little bit, and I'm going to pan it just a little bit. Get a nice like parallax movement. And I'm going to hit enter to set that as my second keyframe. And now for my third keyframe, I'm going to pan more to the left. I'm going to slide it down a little more. Right about there's good. Cool. And then I'm going to tilt it so high up, it's going to be ridiculous. You're not even going to believe it. And hit enter. So now that all of my keyframes are set, I have a new menu pop up for how to run it. The options are I can loop it, run it one time, or do a time lapse, or stop motion. So when I hit loop, it's going to reset to the first position, and it's going to go back and forth hitting all 3 of those keyframes, both 1, 2, and 3, 3, 2, and 1, back and forth indefinitely. So that's what you do if you want to set up like a wide angle for like an interview, or you just want kind of a set it and forget it camera angle to give yourself an option in post. So I just dialed in the settings, and we got our time set to 18 seconds and our ramp set to 5 seconds. So it's repositioning now to position 1, like I told it to. Very nice. Look at that, huh? It's moving nice and smooth. And now it's tilting up. Beautiful. And because it's on loop, it's going to just go again and again in perpetuity until I tell it to stop. Yeah, look at that. Look at Chris with his bad self. Yes, that's how that works. That's how you would set up one of the faster movements. If you want to do a slower movement, you would just adjust the settings to add more time. And if you want to have a smoother ramp up, you can do that as well. So yeah, with that, let's break this down. So how I break it down is first, I power it off. When you power it off, sometimes the head for the camera mount module will tilt. So sometimes I'll just kind of hold it in place. I don't know why it does that, but just something to be aware of. Next, I unplug all of the Ethernet cables just from all of the ports. So you'll just kind of coil them. You don't have to choke them or strangle them. Just kind of follow their natural shape. Gentle hands. We like gentle hands. All right, so there's the Ethernet cables. Next, I will unplug the battery. I'll typically set this aside to charge. Yeah, we'll pull apart the battery. We're gonna unhook the motor. So I'm gonna start by loosening the knobs holding the motor in place. Both of them. And we're going to put those, I always put these back right away because I tend to lose track of them. They're kind of small and can get lost in the thick of things. The grooves on the knobs may or may not rub against each other. It's not a deal breaker, it just kind of is what it is. So just be as precise as you can. But yeah. Next, I'm going to slide the motor forward a little bit to give me enough give that I can unwrap it. And then, so with the motor, the belt, typically when it's in action, will poke out this way. But when we're packing up, we gently pack that down this way, because that is how it lives in the case. It's just how it is. I didn't invent it. Now, again, so that I don't lose it, I will take the control module and I will just mount it to the motor. Just right out of the gate, just to make sure it doesn't get lost or stepped on or fall out or anything like that. Next, I will undo the gear and I will set that aside. So we're going to undo this top knot washer thing. We're going to take off the gear. And again, please note the spring. It's vitally important. This spring will bounce everywhere. So it's important to be gentle when removing this because it usually sticks to the inside. So we just want to make sure to put this back on the bolt once we're done with that. And then next we're going to dismount the plate itself. To loosen it, you're simply going to adjust the knob and then you can loosen it like so. It'll slide right off. You can set that down. And then we take the larger washer. You're going to place it over the bolt and adjust it, kind of finagle it until you can press it down like so. Then take the smaller washer and lock that into place. And I'm gonna lock this with a little, not lock it tight, but not too tight. You can be really gentle, but I'm gonna tighten this down so that the slider won't move and we can easily remove the camera mount module. So now that that's done, I'm gonna kind of grab it here, just gently turn it. It takes little to no effort. And you just wanna guide it. Boom, easy peasy, it's all done. Yeah, now that all of these guys are good, I'm going to flip this over and remove the legs, and then we'll pack everything back into their cases. For those of you at home, maybe don't do this on a wooden table with a nice finish. Then we'll just pack these away. So you're going to loosen the knobs here, fold those down, and then retighten them. Easy peasy. Now that all of this is here, let's pack it back into the case. It's kind of a specific thing, so just follow along. I'm just going to start here and kind of make my way this way. So we're going to start by putting this battery here. This is our spare battery. This guy, that will go there. Next, we have our power cords. Yeah. One power cord kind of coils in there like so. The other power cord coils in there like so. It's great. Then we have our control module. And like I said, we want to make sure that the cable is pulled outwards. We're going to actually point it upside down and it'll fit in just like that. And then this port just lays to the side. Really handy stuff. Then we have the camera mount module, which is going to lay upside down in here. It's kind of a tight fit, just needs some love from time to time. But yeah, it'll fit right in there, and you'll have the port kind of poking out up the side. So yeah, there's that. And then everything else is going to fit into one of these bags, which will fit into this bag, which lives here. It's a tight squeeze, but it can be done. Typically, I'll go from biggest to smallest. So I'll start with the Ethernet cables. I try to separate those as much as possible, just to get as thin of a bag as possible. Then I'll do the AC power cord on the bottom. Try and finagle that in there. We got our power cables as well as our shutter cable. Those will all live in here just to keep track of them. And in addition to that, we'll also put in our Allen wrenches and our spare screws for mounting. And it just makes a nice little happy package like that. Very nice. The last thing we want to put into this before we zip it up is the gear. This gear will live right in here like so. Now that that's in there, we can zip it up, tuck the zipper string down there, and then finally we have our plate. And this guy is a real snug fit. You can see the wear and tear from years of battle, but that goes right there. And I'll typically either fold it to this, I'll fold it to that side just to kind of optimize the space. But that's how you put that away. Then you'll snap it and turn these clamps to the side to secure it being locked. And that guy's good to go. Now finally we will do the track case. This will slide in right there, and we want to make sure that the mount here is in compliance with these directions saying keep clear, position the cart in this place. I'm going to loosen it a bit right there, slide it down, and then just keep it right there, and then gently tighten it again just to secure it. Not too tight, but just a little love, you know. And then finally, last step, we will put these away. And it's going to be great. Zip that up. Really important to note. Close it. Zip it again. There you go. That is how you set up and tear down the Kessler Second Shooter. If you have any questions about anything we went over, you can always email us at service@prophotorental.com. You can also call us. Our number is 303-588-6799. If there was any configuration that you're looking to achieve but we didn't go over, we'd love to talk you through everything. Hopefully this was helpful, and yeah, we'll see you around.